Hey guys, and welcome back to another deep dive analysis with Jesse, and I'm joined again by Ishura. Welcome back, Ishura. As promised, guys, any Azshara cinematic, she's going to be here to talk about all the juicy details. And today is the day. Ishura, are you ready? Are you ready for today?
I'm scared, but
Same, and I'm curious to see what happens, because this time last expansion was the big Argus reveal, in the sky kind of thing with Kil'jaeden and all that. So what's it gonna be? We're gonna dive right into this. We're gonna film ourselves watching it, and then we'll be back to talk about all the juicy details. We're gonna play in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Something's not right. Oh shit. We'll be back in a moment. Alright guys, we are back, and oh my god. Okay, this has been building. I'm seeing a lot of comments online that people are disappointed in this cinematic. People are disappointed that they wanted more. How are you disappointed in this cinematic? Oh my god. We're gonna dive right into this, and there's so much here. We're gonna try not to make this a 45-minute long video. No guarantees. So, Ishura, are you ready? Let's just dive right into this. I know. We have a whole page of notes here, and there's so many callbacks to Warbringers and more here. We start the cinematic with Azshara on the ground. Now this doesn't seem like much, right? But the Queen herself is down and out. Every time we've seen her, every shot. Not every shot. In Warbringers, there's some reflection here, but it's always been she is held up majestically. She's looking at herself in the mirror. She is proud and smug, and the Queen is no more here. Her arms are spread out, and I instantly thought of Warbringers when her arms are out and she is holding back the wave. In the same way that she is defying death right now, just as she defied death 10,000 years ago. And in the same way that her jaw is clenched in the Warbringers episode, her jaw is clenched here, and then she starts gasping. We can hear her in pain. And this is the second time we've seen this. And seeing Azshara in pain, that was weird. That was... Ishura, what are your thoughts on Azshara in pain?
it's such a hard part to watch, and we talked a little bit about this moment because to me it feels like she's in extreme pain, and we kind of realized like this is the first time she's probably ever, been defeated or felt this much pain. And I was saying, I think in a way, she expected to lose. She has to lose in order for N'Zoth to be freed and to be successful. But I think still the idea that she could lose and that people could overpower her, it's like, it's terrifying. There's a there's a line in the trilogy, and we can debate about how canon the the War of the Ancients trilogy is now. But it's like the first time in her life she ever broke a sweat was when she was holding back the Well of Eternity. And I imagine this is like so many times worse than that.
In this particular moment, she is looking down at this glass-like floor and gasping for breath, and the same with the fish was. Reflection seems to be a common occurrence for Azshara, as well as like the whole Medusa concept and all that. In the 8.2 intro, she's admiring herself in the waters, and here she is clearly able to see herself. There is clearly a way of reflection going on here, and instead of looking at herself in her death throes, she is not. She's panicked. She's not looking at herself. Probably for the first time, the opportunity arises to look at herself, and she is, as Ashura said, breaking a sweat again. But then, you know, is she looking at the reflection? And in the same way that she looked down and saw fish Zoth, flopping around, is she looking in the reflection, hoping that once more he will come to her aid? He will show himself in her greatest moment of need, and she is still so defiant in this moment. And it's strange to see. Again, there's some people still debate on whether or not Azshara is truly powerful, and I think the insanity of the battle itself, the boss fight itself, shows just how powerful she is and how impossible defeat is to her. Like, it's kind of hard for us, the players, because we're like, we've defeated literally everyone we've come across. Why is she different? But in her case, this has only ever happened one other time with the well. And so this happening twice, she's like, man, call back to Warbringers. This is not the deal I made. This is not the bargain I made. And she says that without actually saying those words. We have the duo here approach. I will talk about the sound design actually here for a second. The sound design, side note, cinematics have come a long way. This cinematic for in-game cinematic was flawlessly beautiful, but the sound design in here, I'm listening to it, don't have a headset at the moment, I'm listening to it earphones, and good God, I love the sound design in here. In this particular moment, we hear her fingers scraping on the glass. And I instantly thought of that moment in Warbringers when her shield begins to crack, when her barrier begins to crack and it begins to turn into a solid, and you can hear it cracking like glass. I instantly was like, oh man, like this is in the same way. I know it's her fingers scraping, I know the floor's not physically cracking, but that sound, I don't know what it is about glass or ice cracking, but it's so appealing to the ears. And instantly, I just thought of, wow, Warbringers. That sound in Warbringers. Same kind of the hairs on my neck stood up here. Anyway, we have, she looks up and she's, realizing defeat, gasping. And at this moment, this reflection, there was a brief moment where I saw the gold and I saw the red of lor'themar, and I thought, right at the top of the screen here, where he has the space between his robes, where his legs are, that black line reminded me of a pupil. And I know it's a stretch, right? Like, lor'themar is not N'Zoth. I'm not saying it is. But there's that moment. The coloration is there. The brief eye symbolism is there. She looks up, and for a second I was like, oh my God, is that N'Zoth looming at her? And then it's like, oh shit, no, it's right, we're there. And she probably thinking the same thing. Maybe she's like, oh hey, I know those colors, and damn it, the Blood Elves have the same colors.
I feel like the reflection of Jaina's staff, even the blue is kind of like the same blue as the chains. So just this whole reflection on the floor, which is underneath her, and you kind of find out later in this, I think that N'Zoth, I guess I would say, is underneath this platform. So it's kind of like this reflection, this shadow, chained, and right before the big moment.
The big moment here, I didn't even think of the blue of her staff, but that's true. We have N'Zoth's coloration and the chain's coloration with the Horde and Alliance here. And I didn't want to obviously bring up the obvious, the red and blue coloration with the Alliance and Horde. But what I thought here, and this is aside from like seeing lor'themar like that one time in the intro cinematic, like even though he says nothing here, I instantly thought, man, like he is ready. His guard is up, his sword is up, his hand is up. Lor'themar is soldier first before he is anything else. He is, she's down and out. The queen of the Naga herself is down and out, face planted on the floor, and he is like, no, this is no, there's something going on. Meanwhile, Jaina is just in the most casual. Her staff is down. She's like, we're gonna end this right now. She, again, crossroads. Jaina is so calm and composed. Lor'themar is like, man, I know elves. Elves are always, and I just love how powerful they both are in their own way here. Jaina's weapon's down, but her hand is up, and Lor'themar's really cool sword is just ready to go. Her upper eye is closed, her lower eye is closed. She's down. Sound design again here, good God. And if you guys listen to one of your speakers, headphones, big headphones, something that you can hear sound on both sides. I don't know what it is about Titanic devices in World of Warcraft. They fascinate me, obviously, with the holocore. I love Ulduar, I love Uldir, Uldum, all that stuff. And the sound of the Titan orb just clinking around, oh my God, here it is. It's so satisfying, but it's also building, because I don't know, I felt like the hair, again, going up on my neck, going, man, like, this mechanical clinking, I like it. And then the fear and oh shit realization on their faces, it's this weird, it's drawing you in this holy fuck moment that's about to happen right now. So the runes explode, turn bright blue. There's a conversation to be had about coloration here. Titanic blue seems to be a common occurrence. When machines for Titans seem to be powered up, that seems to be a common thing. And right as the runes turn blue, the waters turn red. Now, Ishura, you pointed out something here.
So, in this little sequence, so the key is powered by Azerite, basically, because, it's the heart of Azeroth that has been powering it throughout the fight, and so the energy releases from it, and then you see this bubble form around them that's it's Azerite colored, it's kind of gold and blue. And at the point after that, when the chains break, and then, something, like right as the chains break, you can see it in the distance, it turns red. And Azerite, this is from before the storm, Azerite actually turns red when it becomes inert. When it doesn't have any magical qualities. So I guess the obvious symbolism here is that when this all powers down and his prison no longer has to be working and all the Azerite has been expended, it's inert, it turns red.
I totally forgot about the part. I was so focused on the Titanic blue and Argus, the Argus fight going from blue to red, because it's that same... Is scary red a color? Is that a color? It is now. That scary red that Argus becomes, the waters turn the same color. And it took me several times to watch it, but the bubble going from Azerite to red, it's almost as if the Titan devices are powered up when they're blue, and they're powering down, they're turning off. It's a sign of, I don't want to say death, but, there's symbolism there. Maybe with the coloration, same with the Emerald Nightmare red. It's that powering down that turns red. Is there something more malicious going on there? Coloration is everything. And I think if it was simply just a power down, it would have been just like the lights go out. But the coloration of red is important. Azoth has been tied to red for some time with the Emerald Nightmare, and now this situation. I found it interesting that there's a draw to Argus and that Titan, but Azerite specifically turning red when it's inert. I totally forgot about that detail in Before the Storm. As we know, Gallywix's staff has always been a little red cane. That's just powered down Azurite. That's just inert Azurite, which something's going on here. So we have the chains break, and I think when people say this cinematic is lackluster, and when I say people, it was like 2 scrolls through Twitter, I saw some people who were disappointed, and some comments. The chains breaking here is probably one of the most important moments of the expansion. This means so much. When these chains shatter into really cool celestial stardust, that eye opens, and that is bad news right there. We've seen those chains in Ulduar before, but the old gods that we faced were just physical manifestations. They were just physical blobs. Yogg-Saron has pieces of him underneath Grizzly Hills. Cthulhu is massive. Y'Shaarj was literally a small continent. When he was ripped out, it formed the Well of Eternity, which is a whole other topic considering where we are right now. And so N'Zoth's true size, there's a piece of him over near Kultiris in the raid there. So N'Zoth breaking out here. This is bad. We've never seen this before. People are, it's another old god expansion. Not like this. N'Zoth is out of there. He smoke forms his way up. Apparently he can fly like Sylvanas too. And
I don't think we've ever, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have all these old god prisons, but we fought like Yogg-Saron and Cthulhu both like weakened their prisons, but I don't think we ever totally freed them from them in the way that we're doing right now.
No, and Cthulhu is a little bit strange in that Cthulhu comes from the vanilla era. And no disrespect to the vanilla era, but back then the story was it was kind of weird. It was wobbly, right? They were just setting things up. And Chronicle does a lot to fix that. Thank God. So, aside from the aesthetic of Cthulhu's prison not really being there, in Yogg's prison, at least we kind of see some big examples in this cinematic right here. But that was just a small piece of him. Sure, the chains in his room are broken, but that's not the full super might of Yogg-Saron there. And even Y'Shaarj, like we just found his heart imprisoned with those ghost chains as well, beneath the veil. We've never seen them in their full power before, which is terrifying considering we saw how big N'Zoth was in the Warbringers. We saw how big Cthulhu was in the Chronicle artwork. This is unprecedented before. This has never happened. And this is setting up for a massive future. So the chains have broken now. N'Zoth's tentacle has burst its way into this protective red bubble now. Jane and lor'themar are like, oh my god. I like how the tentacle as it comes through is almost like it's very inky. I got, especially on the withdrawal later, I got this sort of like squid ink in water sort of texture feeling. The smoke effects that represents the void and the purpley void touch here is really, really cool. And initially I thought this is not going to end well. Like when N'Zoth is reaching for her body, I'm like, this is the moment. This is she's going to die. Something's going to happen here. And what happens here is so unexpected. Ishura, these are your notes that's coming up. This is all you.
Well, I remember, okay, so the first time I watched it, I was like, he picks her up so tenderly. Like, he just comes into this red bubble, like pierces it, like, just comes in, like, nobody cares. But he gets to Azshara, and he's just like, let me scoop you up. And, I kind of like the imagery, like, her hair, not hair, like, it falls over her shoulder as his tendril comes up. So it's almost like he's, like, brushing away her hair. I have a fondness in my heart for Azshara.
Couple goals. This is the true love story of Battle for Azeroth. Not Nathanos and Sylvanas or Anduin and Talia. It's N'Zoth and Azshara. 100%.
So I've already seen some debate about this, and some people think she just gets knocked out. Some people think she dies. It's left open to interpretation, but there's a parallel here between what happens here and in the Warbringers short. And there it's pretty vague too. So in the Warbringers short, she's drowning, and N'Zoth kind of saves her at the last minute. But it's also possible that maybe she died and he brought her back. And that same exact thing is happening here, where, either she's knocked unconscious or she dies, and then he just revives her. Basically, it almost doesn't matter if she dies or not, but it's pretty intense if he can actually resurrect her, like if he has that power.
Again, I keep thinking about the Titan of Death and Argus. There's something here with the coloration and everything. Everything's going on. I think what's really it's a note that I forgot to bring up earlier, but it actually ties in really well right here. When her eyes open up, Azshara's eyes are N'Zoth's eyes. They're the same kind of eyes. Both in that he's blinded and can't see because he's in prison, but also in the way that they're equals. He is her king. She is his queen. And I know there's been a lot of debate. There's a lot of people on Team N'Zoth's side who are just waiting for N'Zoth to pull an old god sneaky trick and turn around and kill Azshara. And then there's everyone else on Team Azshara's side who Azshara is totally just pulling the strings and she is going to be the one to manipulate an old god. But here we see he saves her again. And in Warbringers, he calls her, he says, "Arise, my queen." And here it's the same thing. I was expecting anything but being saved by N'Zoth. I was expecting him to just mercy kill her or mock and kill her. They've been taunting each other for a long time. But instead, she is, as Ashura just said, brought back. Whether she is brought back, whether she was unconscious, there's a lot to debate here. In that final moment, in her final failing moment, N'Zoth still comes to save her. They made a deal. She made a deal with him. He said, "I like deals," is what he said. And she stood her ground. "I will not be a slave. I will be a queen." And here, her eyes open wide. There's emphasis on her final breath and emphasis on her first breath. And I instantly think of the shot in Warbringers when N'Zoth's eye opens and her new Naga forms there. Very embryo-like. Of all the things to happen in the cinematic, this was the shocking moment for me when he saves her. She gasps and she's pulled back through the veil. She's pulled into the darkness. The ink retracts. Now, when she's pulled through, I instantly think of Gul'dan being thrown through the portal by Archimonde. Some parallels there. But watch what happens when she's pulled through. She's pulled through in a circle. A circle of stars. Right there. There's a quick moment. And again, the circle of stars has been a conversation of so many debates in the Warcraft community. The achievement for killing her is called the Circle of Stars. That's also the name of the Alifar wing. And I just thought, man, like the way the water and the light in the water is going right there is so cool. Again, the coloration of red to suddenly the kind of ripple effect. What does red mean? I kind of wonder, will red be a common color in Ny'alotha? Is that where we're going? Is red going to be a color? I'm curious if that's going to be a color we're going to see there. Ishura, you pointed out the red on the ships in Nazjatar.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I remember going through Nazjatar. I was taking screenshots, and at the ship graveyard, there's like this kind of red stream of magic, and I remember like a week ago or something, I was like, what is it supposed to be? But I think you can tell just from watching the cinematic, it's the same kind of thing. And I was like, maybe it's N'Zoth, like N'Zoth's magic, like in Nazjatar.
Is that his official coloration? Death seems to have a common theme with this black and red magic, so I guess we kind of end on a point of why didn't he leave Azshara? They've been taunting each other for so long, and she served her purpose. He's free. he could have left. He could have just waved at her as he left. She was unconscious. She wouldn't have seen. But, you know, I was totally betting on a moment where Azshara expects N'Zoth to save her. And he says, no, we're done. And instead of pulling a Warbringers, he leaves her and we, the heroes, kill her. Or she escapes. And I think a lot of people were expecting that. Not for him to come bursting into this bubble, gently lift her up, and then drag her into the darkness, and then he's gone.
I didn't. I was like, this is it. This is the end. Like, I was trying to be kind of pessimistic about it because I love her, right? I was like, I don't want her to die. But I think when it comes to the old gods, we always have this idea that, like, their minions are expendable. You know, they just go through them like a war of attrition, like the bugs, the Silithid and whatnot. You know, it's like none of them matters. But he comes back for her, which I think is more an indication that maybe she hasn't served her full purpose, that there is still more to be done. And obviously we don't know what it is because 8.3, but yeah.
I don't understand when people say that this sort of lackluster. Sure, there's things of we didn't get every single answer we wanted. In a way, did we learn anything new? Well, the prison's open now, and Azshara is very much alive. N'Zoth is very much alive. I guess in comparison to the 7.2 finale with Argus and Kil'jaeden's death and the reveal in the sky, I guess people were expecting that same sort of level, but leaving this raid, leaving this patch, and being entirely in the dark is terrifying. Knowing that he's out there, you know, Argus being up in the sky was kind of like the whole world was like, holy shit, like what is that? N'Zoth is out there now, unchained, you know, free from his prison, and we have no idea what's coming next. For all we know, he's doing something to the sky. The skybox is going to change very soon. And that
people were complaining. Just, I heard some people say it's underwhelming, and I'm like, what do you expect? Like, first of all, N'Zoth is the weakest of the old gods. He's been a plotter ever since the start. He's not about to just be freed from his prison and come up and attack everyone. He is getting out of there as soon as he can so he can go back to plotting.
He's already plotting right now as we make this video. N'Zoth is doing something. There's something going on. And I imagine that, you know, there's still the whole Horde Alliance Sylvanas plotline going on and what her involvement in all of this is. But this is definitely setting up for an 8.3, 9.0, something huge. I'd love to sit around and talk what's coming next, but that's for another video. So, Ishura, any closing thoughts on Azshara's battle cinematic? Let's not say final cinematic. That's not the last we've seen of your queen.
Oh gosh, I don't want to like speculate a lot about the future. I don't think it still hit me that like she's alive. Like we're gonna see her again. The question is how. Like you don't want her. I don't want her to go out like Ysera did, just killed by the player in a quest. But we don't know what N'Zoth has in store for her. So
we don't. I'm surprised that they kept her alive. I was not a fan of Kil'jaeden dying where he did. I felt that Kil'jaeden had a little bit more. I love the theory that Kil'jaeden's still out there, and I kind of held Kil'jaeden and Azshara in the same way. When I heard Azshara was going to be mid-expansion boss, I thought, oh god, this is not something that I want to see again. And seeing her escape into the unknown, oh god, like this is amazing. This is the best possible kind of, I cannot wait to see, is she going to be in the next expansion? Is she going to be an 8.3 boss? Oh my god, there's so many. We have to stop, otherwise we're going to just talk for hours. So again, guys, thank you so much for listening to this cinematic analysis breakdown with myself and Ashura. We'll be back very soon, I'm sure. I'm sure about that. Sorry, that was awful. Never again. Puns, no more puns. Ashura, thank you for joining me in today's video.
I'm so excited to be here.
With the magic of movie editing, something we wanted to add was the talk of eyes. I know Ishura pointed this out. If we forgot to talk about the eyes, the whole comments would have been filled with comments about eyes and Jaina's dad's boat. So, quickly, talking about eyes here. Obviously, the constructs on the side, the Titan constructs, their eyes are glowing red, right? And eyes seem to be the theme of the expansion, with everything with Azshara and her eyes here opening, being yanked into the darkness, the construct eyes, the eye when N'Zoth awakens down below. In Warbringers, there's so much symbolism with eyes, and we've already gone long enough. We're not going to talk about what does N'Zoth's final line mean here. This line right here. Now, as you guys saw, the eye glow goes out. As he says, they shall be opened. Again, symbolism there with the powering down, death. There's a lot there. Open eyes. What is... Eyes are the window to the soul. There's so much to talk about. I honestly think, Ashura, you and I could talk about eyes for a long time, but we're going to make this a shorter episode. So we wanted to say we didn't miss the eyes. We saw the eyes with our eyes, and we're going to talk about it in the future, but we thought we would have to add this little bonus part because someone, somewhere, would say something about eyes.
There's N'Zoth's gift. The big eyeball
right
on your head.
There's so much. If I feel bad for anyone who's creeped out by eyes, because this is not their expansion. There are so many eyes everywhere. So let's we'll put a thinking cap. We'll come back to that. We'll put a note, a bookmark on the topic of eyes. We'll be back to talk about eyes at some point. And I'll make sure Ishura is here to talk about that as well, since Azshara has 5 of them. But yes, we wanted to add this little part. There is so much to talk about, and we'll do a longer video next time. Thank you guys, and we'll see you guys whenever the next cinematic is.